Good. Everybody ready? Okay. I will call the board meeting of the Metropolitan Transit Authority to order. I am pinch hitting for Gail Williams, our chair, who is traveling. So thanks everybody for being here. It's great to see everybody. And we're super excited to have a special person here with us that we will all get to know very well in the coming months, I am sure. But I'm sure many of you have met or have read in the papers or had a chance to meet Faye DeMassimo, and she has moved to Nashville recently and is the Senior Advisor for Transportation and Infrastructure in the Mayor's Office. So, yay, Faye, we're glad you're here. Would you like to say any?
Certainly. I'm very, very glad to be here and really glad to be working with this group. I know in the earlier committee meetings I was actually sitting in the back, and I had sent Steve a text actually and said there's a lot of conversation going on about the mayor's office. Should I stand up and say something right now, or will there be another opportunity? So tonight will be the third of the 11 listening sessions that we are conducting. I know all of you are aware, Mayor Cooper, one of his strong campaign commitments was to a new transportation plan for Metro within a year. We are hard at work on that, and we're going about it from the perspective of not going to these meetings and saying, here's the plan, what do you think? We're going to the meetings and saying, we'd like to listen to you, what would you like to see in your plan? So we are getting a lot of really interesting feedback. I don't know if you've heard a little bit about the exercises that we're doing in the meeting to get that input. But the first thing that folks are getting to do is everybody gets $20, not real dollars, but $20. And you have to decide how you want to spend it across 9 different project types. I will tell you that out of the first 2 meetings, transit has been, at the first meeting, the by far away top expenditure, and then in the second meeting came in a very, very close number 2. So safety, transit, sidewalks, traffic management, and working with the state and how we can make sure that our system that will come forward in this plan, that it nests within the work that the region is doing, that it nests within the work that the state is doing, so that there's full coordination there. And I think equally, and perhaps in some ways more importantly, that it very much nests within the work of our own comprehensive land use plan and guide for Metro Nashville. We've got to make sure that transportation infrastructure is supporting how we can grow and where we want to be. So Steve has just been an exceptional colleague in this effort. We really appreciate it. And I look forward to working with all of you, and I'm glad to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. We're excited you're here, and we're looking forward to working closely with you. So sorry we were talking about you in the back of the room and put you at a disadvantage there. So got to be careful. I know. Okay, great. So the first thing we're going to take on is we need a motion to approve the minutes from the December 19th meeting.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next up, we have our public comments, and I'll remind everybody that we would like for you to limit your remarks to 3 minutes. You all are pros at this, so I know that you're good at that. And Hannah's, because I'm new at this, is going to be my timekeeper. So with that, we'll start with Mr. O'Connor. Good to see you.
Hello, Peter.
Good to see you all. You would have to start with me first. Okay, since this is the first month and the first meeting of the year, I'd say Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
To get to some of the same things that I've been mentioning in previous meetings, I'm still seeing people out here at MCC smoking, and I'm not seeing anybody coming out there to let them know anything, or to deter them from smoking on the premises, because I know I have people that I know who are allergic to smoke, cigarette smoke especially, and I don't see much of efforts being made. Still to pester Steve on that potential proposition for Route 72. hopefully that we can see something going on with that. I think that it would be a great asset to us up there, up in that area. 52A stop. I'm still going to reiterate on that. Still needs to be moved from where it is to behind Walgreens to make it easier for people, especially when drivers are telling people that they need to pay more to go from that stop around the corner. Like, no, that's not going to work. So, again, still, we need the bus hours to be extended, because I know there are more people that would like to see that, and as well as the customer service still needs to match hours with that. Some drivers are still acting like they are the captain of the ship, they are in charge. So what they say within reason, of course, goes. But when they want to act like they're all that in a bag of chips, and people too, that they need to understand, customer relations goes a long ways if they do it right. I think that's going to cover about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Good to see you. Next up, Mr. Bull. Good to see you. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Got 4 items. One thing, I want to give you all a real pat on the back for the New Year's Day extended hours service. Nashville has a deserved reputation for heavy drinking, especially at night, and in particular on New Year's Day. And I'm sure that the extended hours at 12:45, 1:30, and 2:30 literally saves some people from being seriously injured, if not killed. A nuance on that, and I'm delighted that was done, is if it ran one more extension at 3:30, the people who are shutting down the bars, customers and otherwise, would have a less eventful way back to their domicile. 2, glad to see that the ridership numbers are as they are. That's a good thing. That says something to how y'all are running the operation. The Nolensville Transit Improvement Program, I'm delighted to see that happening. For disclosure, I ride 52 to get here and back. One thing, the intersection, the next intersection south at Nolensville and Southern Hills Hospital and Walgreens, that's Harding Place, not Harding Place. TDOT and Public Works are working together to enhance the pedestrian signals there, which will be a relief to me. That's very close to where I live. There are 4 bus stops within 300 yards of that intersection. And 4, I'm delighted to see that the better bus proposal, the more of it, certainly the better. We need to have that implemented. It's physically responsible, I'd like to add, and that's in these budget times. That's the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bull. Good to see you. Okay, Mr. Knight. Good to see you, Mr. Knight.
Good to see you. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to comment and say that I'm glad that things are going in a better direction from where they had been. Again, the last board meeting, pretty much kind of gave my comment about the budget. I'm still not confident. I hope that will change over these next few months, though. I will just say the positive thing from it will be the staff and this board for making sure that they are listening to the customers. I want to reiterate that probably a few years ago there was an issue, and I kind of brought that up, that whereas in past years, in the past decades, that was not the focus. And I really appreciate you all taking these many steps and going out to communities, holding different meetings here, and meeting people where they're at. I hope you all continue to do that, and I will continue to provide whatever feedback that I feel necessary for our transit to be as good as it should be. We're not where we need to be, and we have a long, long way to go. I would just want to say to everybody in this room, please push council members as hard as you can, because a lot of them still don't get it because they're not in these type of predicaments, and they will make a decision based on a number, but then the people who are actually going through those situations will be the ones suffering. And I'm really concerned more so with this budget year after what we just went through a few months ago, because I'm concerned that if they leave the budget flat, there's more cuts. And the only cuts that's going to be possible is cutting down the service of the high frequency that we just went to, because there's really no other options. Because, I mean, if you start to cut out routes that are necessary, you're going to have a real issue, because then people are going to say, we don't have reliable transit. And then how will you get back to that point? You won't, because then people will say, oh, they're not reliable, because then they'll add in service one year and then take it away the next. So I just want you all to keep that in mind and really just reach out to your council member for your area, and even ones that are not from your area. Please reach out to all of them. And I also want to say, as far as maintenance goes, I want to say that I am excited to see that a lot of things are starting to change on that front. And I actually noticed that a few buses from Myatt that had still that black numbering on those purple buses have been changed to the white numbering. I still see a few that are from the Nestor garage that still need to be changed, but I want to make sure that maintenance realizes they are appreciated, and I hope that they continue to do things that are necessary to get our buses working properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Knight. Great counsel to contact your council. So
It's the most positive I've ever seen.
I know he's very upbeat today. Thank you, Mr. Knight. Okay, we have Mr. Thomas next. It's good to see you, Mr. Thomas.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Just got a few things I want to talk about. The main thing is that at times when I get on and off the bus, some of your bus drivers come up to the curb, and there's times when they're about this far away from the curb. When it comes to a handicapped person, that makes it difficult to go from the bus to the sidewalk. And I can drop my car onto the street before I can get up onto the sidewalk. And that's a long step for me to get from the bus to the sidewalk as well, with my cane. That's the main issue. And even down here, the bus station, when they pull into the bay, there's times when they're far away from the curb as well. And it makes it difficult to get onto the bus for a handicapped person. So they need to come a little bit closer to the edge to make it easier for a handicapped person. Other than that, you got some pretty good bus drivers out there. Shay's good. Mr. Legge is a good bus driver. I appreciate him really good. And I do give them restaurant coupons quite a bit. I'm cutting back into doing that, cutting the coupons out from the mail and put them in Ziploc bags, give them to them, because they're out there on the road. Where are they going to go eat at? Most of them don't bring a sack lunch. And so I give them coupons for like Subway or any of the other restaurants out there, and helps them save money besides. What's out there on the bus route? Restaurants.
Man. Great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mr. Thomas. And
Do you have a list for me, Jay?
no coupon for a Steve?
I had a couple that I was watching right down, but I forgot to write them down. So.
And we know you take a lot of time and energy and effort to come to these meetings, and we really are so appreciative of it. So thank you again. Any other public comments? That's the end of the list that I have. Okay, then we will close the public comment period. Thank you very much again. Okay, we're going to hand it off to Mr. Searcy for Operations and Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. We have 2 action items. First, regarding the Nolensville Road Transit Stop Improvement Project that we heard from during our committee meeting, and we said that we would recommend it to the board, and we're doing it now.
That being a recommendation from the committee does not require a motion. Did I get that right, Steve?
That's correct.
Okay.
Actually, you should ask your general counsel. I'm not a Robert.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I agree with Steve.
So we do not need a motion. Are there questions or comments? I think it's an exciting project. I'm really glad to see we're getting it going. So any other questions, comments?
We're good on that.
All in favor of approving the Nolensville Transit Stop Improvement Project, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Great. What else you got, Walter?
We have the award of the website redesign contract that Jason walked us through. And pursuant to that, we are now recommending it to the board for its approval.
Okay. Since that is a recommendation from the committee, we do not require a motion. Any questions or comments on the website redesign?
Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, website projects are
He'll be
key.
calling you, Hannah.
We have an
frequently.
expert here. Remember,
Out of my contact list.
that's right.
Block that number.
You'll be on the golf course.
I don't know nothing about that. Things have changed.
I know. Any other questions, comments on that? Okay. Then all in favor of approving the motion for the award of the website redesign contract, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. So anything else, Walter, from your committee?
No, although I'll reiterate, please consult the list of upcoming procurement projects. Get them to your respective church members.
Get them to your church members. Great idea. All right, great. Thank you, Walter, for that report. I will report on the new initiatives and community engagement committee. We did not have action items this month, but we had two really meaty, good topics for discussion. The first, the team did an amazing job presenting what has been a long process and the findings for the Better Bus project. And it was kind of an interesting thing because they've kind of got a 5-year proposed allocation of the plan, which to me is really helpful because you can't get this stuff done in 1 year. And I feel like it listened to the customers a lot, which is what do we hear all the time? More frequency, longer hours, more crosstown routes. So feel like that's really a good thing. What will happen is that portion for the upcoming budget year will be plugged in to the budget that Ed will be presenting tomorrow, I believe, to the mayor's office. So thank you for staff for all the work on that Better Bus project, and we know it was a lot of work, and thank you for that. And then the second thing that we talked about was about the budget process, and we are on an accelerated process this year, which I think is great because it gives the mayor's office and the council more time and leeway to really understand the situation and get to the right place. So the staff's been working like maniacs to get a budget together, and as in the past couple of years, the budget is being presented to the mayor's office and the council as a two-tiered approach. Tier one is for us to just stand still where we are and continue with our existing service program. That's what was in tier one. And by the time you add some things and subtract some things, it's about $1.5 million increase over this year for us to stand still. So that's, and then we are putting in the Better Bus piece, which was
2.2 million this year.
2.2 million, right. So
That's partial year funding, because it would start up later in the fiscal year.
exactly, with the fiscal year. So this is the beginning of the discussion. This isn't the end of the discussion, but I think we felt good about the way the staff has put it together. It's logical, but you all know this board always likes to push for more service for our customers, so we're not going to stop asking. And I think that's really one of the jobs of this board, to support our customers. So that was basically the new initiatives committee. We didn't have any action items, and that concluded the business of that committee. It's kind of weird wearing all these hats up here today. So,
You're wearing it well.
am I doing well? Thank you. Okay. And then before I hand it off to Steve for our CEO report, just a few things for the board chair report. I'm standing in for Gail here. Number one, Ed, we're so sorry about the loss of your mom. That just tore us all to pieces, and I went through it about 4 months ago, and I stood in your shoes. So just know we're all thinking about you and your family, and we're really sorry about that. We've been having discussions about convening a half-day board workshop this spring. We haven't done that for a few years, but thought this would be a really good time with all the things that are going on. So Monica will be working on schedules for that, and we'll keep you posted on those asks and those dates. And typically what we do in that day is not the nuts and bolts day-to-day. It's looking at strategic initiatives, kind of forward-looking efforts. So that's something. And there's a lot going on, so it should be a really interesting day. We'll keep you posted about that. We introduced Faye. We're delighted that she's here. I know all of the board members are really looking forward to spending some time with Faye. You know, we're not shy, and we have opinions on things. Hannah's the worst. I'm just going to say that right now. So just get ready. Get ready for that. But thank you for that, because we so want to work hand in glove with this, because we don't need a bunch of silos and people running opposite directions. So whatever we can do to support you, we're here for that. And then the fabulous Mr. Searcy represented the MTA board at the Access Passenger Advisory Committee, the APAC committee, this month. And that disability community is so important. And he survived. Yes, he did. They did not tear him limb to limb. But as you know, the Access Ride program, all of the programs that we have to support the disabled community are so important to this organization. And having Walter, you there, is really meaningful for us. So thank you for that. So that is what is on my list for the chair's report, the vice chair's report, and I will hand it to you, Steve, for CEO report.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, standing in for the chair.
That's it. That's right.
Members. I'll keep it brief, keep us on schedule for an earlier than 3:30 adjournment. Just update you on a few items, actually touching on things that have been mentioned. Faye mentioned the listening sessions. So myself and other WeGo staff are actively supporting that. It's been an interesting process, as it always is. And actually, the one thing I would particularly commend Faye for is the fact that it is multimodal, that it isn't just a transit focus. Because as I've said, you know, when she told me, oh, you finished second in the second listening session, well, I would have put more line money into safety, too. So it all has to work together. So, Faye, thanks for your efforts. I want to join Janet in thanking Walter for sitting in with myself and other staff members in APAC. It is a critically important group and that have a lot of history and a lot of needs that we always need to keep at the forefront. So, Walter, thank you. A lot of informational sessions with Metro Finance, the budget group, on new process, particularly around performance management. So I thought it was interesting. So what was that old program called, Ed? Performance? Results Matter, going back years. And people are still bringing that up, and not necessarily with seemingly with the fondest of memories, but actually the gentleman who's running performance management for the mayor's office has a real solid background. So I'm actually encouraged by that direction. Several of us, including Trey and Miriam and a couple of others, met with Councilman Pulley and representatives of the Green Hills neighborhood. We want to do a public engagement piece on the Green Hills Transit Center design. So we expect to wrap that up. Councilman Pulley is going to be hosting a session for us down there. We'll also meet with the Green Hills Alliance. So it'll be a relatively quick public engagement process on some of the design elements associated with the Green Hills, Hillsborough High School Transit Center. We need to keep that design process and that construction process on track schedule-wise, because otherwise the school will demolish our stop as part of the reconstruction project. So we want to make sure that we stay in sync with them. And we also had folks from the school district attend that meeting, so I've been particularly appreciative of the partnership we have with the school district. They've been 100% supportive of this project from the very beginning. We thank them for it. Got to attend a Transit Now Nashville Mixer last Friday evening, and as I told Emery Hertz, the chair of Transit Down Nashville, I'll go to any event you have, because it's always after work and always involves beer. And they even added in this, they put it in our neighborhood at the new Yazoo Brewing, which is essentially across the street from the Myatt Garage. They had great attendance, probably about 50 folks turned out. So we got to give some updates, and people got to chat about transit. And encouragingly, Fay folks are excited to get the discussion of a transit plan and funding that plan back in the forefront. Again, I want to echo the comments I heard from the board, the work that Justin and Felix and Katie and everybody who's worked on Better Bus has done. It's been in fits and starts because they say you need to drop this and look at service restructuring, you need to drop this and look at PICs. So it's probably been a 3-month process that's taken 2 years, only because I keep interrupting them with other issues. So Justin, Felix, everybody, thank you for all of your efforts. As a reminder, we reported earlier in the committee meetings on, the fare performance being better than expected, ridership loss off service reductions not being as great as we had feared, and in large part that was through some really diligent efforts by those folks on not just looking to cut, but looking to try to restructure and leverage the resources we have. Earlier this month, I'll put it later because it's not as big a deal as it might sound. I was elected Secretary-Treasurer of the Tennessee Public Transportation Association. So,
Is that a congratulations or a sympathy?
I'm not sure how I would record it at this point. I'm not sure what I'm getting into yet.
Say it again.
Secretary-Treasurer of the Tennessee Public Transportation Association.
I think that's great.
I said if I have to balance the checkbook, you're in trouble. Another effort on behalf of the mayor's office, the mayor has convened a sustainability advisory board. It's being chaired by co-chaired by Eric Kopstein from Vanderbilt, and we are participating in that. I want to thank Margaret and Rita and Richard Warren from Bradley. We're still working forward on the North Nashville Transit Center Clarksville Pike property agreement. Had hoped to have that to you this month, but real estate being what it is, we're still working through dotting I's and crossing T's and due diligence and all sorts of other things. So we'll shoot for next month. As always, I like to keep you updated on what's going on with the RTA under Bill Miller's leadership and Carolyn Riggs-Farrar. We've been meeting with Gray Line on working with them to improve some service reliability issues that they're running into. We generally have very good cooperation from Gray Line, so I'm optimistic with their response that that'll be resolved. We met with TDOT staff, both multimodal and the real estate group. We're working to try to locate a park and ride facility at the interchange at I-24 and Sam Ridley Parkway in Smyrna. TDOT has some excess land, so we're learning a lot about state excess property procedures and what's needed to put a facility in there. I participated in a meeting that was hosted by State Representative Darren Jernigan with a variety of state officials and some of our Metro Council members. What Darren's trying to do is sort of spearhead how do we get these investments to really enhance the STAR, do more trips and some of the other improvements in the STAR service we've been looking at. Bill has reported to me that our 8 new used rail cars that we're acquiring from a railroad in Michigan to replace all of our passenger cars on the STAR have passed their Michigan inspection, are getting ready to ship down to Nashville, and once we get them here, they will go through inspection and are in service preparations and testing. So later this year, we will have 8 new used WeGo branded rail cars in passenger service on the STAR. And then finally, the RTA board this month awarded a construction contract to expand our Mount Juliet park and ride lot by 99 spaces, busting at the seams. Our customers are getting nasty grams from adjoining businesses for parking in non-RTA spaces, so that'll be a very welcome project. It'll be done in 3 phases over about a year. We need to try to do it in a manner that minimizes disruption to the existing facility. And unless there are any questions, Madam Acting Chair, Vice Chair, that concludes.
I like it. Yay.
Kudos to Steve for the correct pronunciation of Yazoo.
That's right. That's right.
Folks, I learned that on my trips to Mississippi, Walter.
Okay, any other business to come before the board? I'll remind you, if Hannah had this gavel, she would have banged it 30 times. So I'm going to
is so
gently
much
gavel
fun.
our close. So thank you, everybody, for being here today. We are adjourned.
I get applause. I think they're applause.
I know you do. I know you do.
Great job.
I am a